The alien ship descended slowly, shimmering as it entered Earth's atmosphere. Crowds gathered, eyes wide with wonder and a touch of apprehension. This was a historic moment, humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. At the forefront of the human delegation stood Sarah Anderson, a seasoned diplomat chosen to lead this unprecedented meeting. As the ship landed, a ramp extended and the alien delegation emerged. They were tall, with a sleek metallic sheen to their skin and eyes that glowed faintly in the daylight. Their leader, Keldar, stepped forward and spoke in perfect English, a testament to their advanced technology. "Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Xelarians. We come seeking your aid." Sarah stepped forward, her posture calm but her mind racing. "Welcome to Earth. I am Sarah Anderson. We are honored by your visit. How can we assist you?" Keldar's eyes softened, a look of relief washing over his face. "Our world is ravaged by war. For generations we have fought among ourselves, and now we face extinction. We have heard tales of your planet, a place where peace has reigned for centuries. We wish to learn from you, to understand how you achieved such harmony." The crowd murmured, surprised and curious. Sarah nodded thoughtfully. "We have indeed experienced many wars, but we have learned from our past. Please join us inside, and we will share our history and the lessons we've learned." The human delegation led the Xelarians into a grand hall, filled with representatives from various nations. Holographic displays showed Earth's history, from ancient battles to the current era of peace. The Xelarians gazed in awe at the images, absorbing the weight of humanity's past struggles. As they settled in, Sarah began to speak. "Our journey to peace was long and arduous. We were once like you, embroiled in endless conflicts. But we learned, often through great pain, that war was not the answer." Keldar leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. What changed? What was the turning point? Sarah took a deep breath. "It began with understanding the true cost of war. Our history is filled with tales of bravery and sacrifice, but also of immense suffering and loss. Let me start from the beginning." And so, Sarah began to recount the history of human conflict, from the earliest skirmishes to the devastating world wars. She spoke of the bravery and folly of leaders, the resilience of the people, and the pivotal moments that shifted humanity's perspective. The Xelarians listened intently, their expressions reflecting a mix of horror and hope. As the day turned to night, the two delegations shared stories and ideas, bridging the gap between their worlds. For the first time, the Xelarians saw a glimmer of hope for their future, a possibility of peace inspired by humanity's journey. And so a new chapter began, not just for the Xelarians, but for the people of Earth as well. They had taken the first step towards a future where knowledge and empathy could end even the most entrenched conflicts. As the sun rose, casting a golden hue over the Earth, the Xelarian delegation gathered once more in the Grand Hall. The previous day's revelations had left them eager to understand more. Sarah Anderson stood at the front, ready to delve deeper into humanity's tumultuous history. "Our world," Sarah began, "was once a battlefield. We fought over land, resources, and beliefs. The scars of these conflicts run deep, but they also taught us invaluable lessons. Let me share some pivotal moments from our past." She gestured to a holographic display, which lit up with images of ancient warriors and battlefields. "In our early history, conflicts were often local and tribal. These wars were brutal and personal, fought with swords and arrows. As our civilizations grew, so did the scale of our conflicts." The display shifted to scenes of larger armies and more organized warfare. The rise of empires brought about wars that spanned continents. Leaders like Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan sought to conquer vast territories, leaving trails of destruction in their wake. Keldar and his delegation watched, their expressions a mix of fascination and dismay. "These wars," Keldar interjected, "were they necessary for your development?" Sarah shook her head. "Necessary? Perhaps in some ways they shaped our societies and spurred technological advancements, but the cost was immense. Millions of lives were lost and entire cultures were erased." The images changed again, now showing scenes from the world wars of the 20th century. "The world wars were a turning point," Sarah continued. They were unlike anything we had experienced before. The sheer scale of destruction was unimaginable. Cities were leveled, and new weapons of mass destruction were unleashed. The Xelarians gasped as they saw footage of nuclear explosions and the devastation they caused. "This," Keldar said, his voice trembling, "is beyond anything we have faced. How did you survive such horrors?" Sarah's expression grew somber. "We barely did. The world was on the brink of annihilation. But it was during these dark times that some of the greatest efforts for peace began. People realized that we could not continue on this path. Movements for peace and disarmament gained momentum, and international organizations were formed to foster dialogue and cooperation. The holographic display now showed scenes of protests, peace treaties, and the formation of the United Nations. "It was not easy," Sarah said. "There were setbacks and challenges. But gradually, the idea that we were stronger together began to take hold. We started to see ourselves not as separate nations, but as a single human race." Keldar nodded slowly, absorbing the gravity of her words. "Your journey was long and filled with suffering. Yet, you emerged stronger. It gives us hope that we too can change." Sarah smiled, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "That is why we are here, sharing our story. We believe that if we can learn from our past, so can you. Peace is possible, but it requires effort, understanding, and a willingness to change." The room fell silent as the weight of Sarah's words settled over the Xelarians. They had come seeking answers and had found not only a history of conflict, but also a testament to the resilience and capacity for change inherent in all intelligent beings. As the day came to a close, the Xelarians left the hall with a renewed sense of purpose. They had much to consider and much to learn, but they now knew that a path to peace existed, and with the guidance of their new human allies, they were determined to find it. The following morning, the air in the grand hall was filled with a sense of anticipation. The Xelarians had spent the night discussing among themselves, and now they were eager to learn more about the pivotal moments that had transformed human society. Sarah Anderson stood ready to continue the story. "As we discussed yesterday, the world wars were a turning point, but the journey toward lasting peace involved several critical developments." She activated the holographic display, which now showed scenes from the mid-20th century. "One of the most significant changes was the realization of the catastrophic potential of nuclear weapons. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were wake-up calls. The sheer destructive power forced the world to confront the reality that future wars could mean the end of humanity. Images of mushroom clouds and devastated cities filled the room. The Xelarians watched, their faces reflecting a mix of horror and understanding. Keldar spoke up, his voice tinged with curiosity. "How did you ensure such weapons were never used again?" Sarah nodded, appreciating the question. "The fear of mutual destruction led to the concept of deterrence. Nations understood that using nuclear weapons would result in their own annihilation. This balance of power, however fragile, kept the peace. But it wasn't just fear that drove change." The display shifted to scenes of protests and peace movements. People around the world began to demand an end to war. The civil rights movements, anti-war protests, and environmental activism of the 1960s and beyond played crucial roles. Society was changing, and so were the priorities of nations. Sarah paused, letting the images sink in. Another key moment was the formation of international organizations dedicated to peace and cooperation. The United Nations was established to provide a platform for dialogue and conflict resolution. Despite its flaws, it represented a commitment to solving disputes through negotiation rather than violence. Keldar leaned forward, intrigued. "Did these organizations truly make a difference?" Sarah smiled. "Yes, though it wasn't always smooth. The UN and other international bodies faced many challenges, but they helped prevent numerous conflicts and facilitated humanitarian efforts. They also promoted the idea that we are all part of a global community." The holographic display now showed images of world leaders shaking hands, signing treaties, and working together on global issues. Globalization also played a role. As our world became more interconnected, the idea of war became increasingly unthinkable. Economic ties, cultural exchange, and technological advancements made cooperation more beneficial than conflict. Keldar's eyes glimmered with hope. It seems that the change was as much cultural as it was political. Exactly, Sarah agreed. A significant shift occurred in how we viewed each other. Education, media, and travel helped break down barriers and fostered a sense of shared humanity. We started to see that our similarities outweighed our differences. The Xelarians exchanged thoughtful glances. Their journey to Earth had been driven by a desperate need to save their own world, and now they were beginning to see a path forward. Sarah concluded, the turning point was not just one event, but a series of realizations and actions. It was the collective will of people and leaders to choose a different path, to prioritize dialogue over destruction, empathy over enmity. The room was filled with a contemplative silence. The Xelarians had learned not just about the history of human conflict, but about the profound changes in mindset that had allowed peace to flourish. As the session ended, Keldar approached Sarah. "Thank you for sharing your story. It gives us hope that we, too, can find a way to peace." Sarah placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "Hope is the first step. We will be here to help you take the next ones." The final session began with a renewed sense of determination among the Xelarians. They had learned much from Earth's turbulent history and were eager to understand the practical steps humans had taken to ensure lasting peace. Sarah Anderson stood before them, ready to share the last part of their journey. "Maintaining peace is an ongoing effort," Sarah began. "It requires vigilance, cooperation, and a commitment to resolving conflicts before they escalate. Let me show you how we do it." The holographic display lit up with scenes of modern cities bustling with life and diversity. First, we focused on building strong international institutions. The United Nations, as I mentioned, is central to our efforts. It provides a forum for dialogue and has various agencies that work on peacekeeping, development, and human rights. Images of peacekeepers in blue helmets, mediators in conflict zones, and humanitarian workers aiding disaster-stricken areas filled the screen. These peacekeepers are deployed to prevent conflicts and maintain order in volatile regions. Their presence helps to stabilize areas and give local populations a chance to rebuild. Keldar nodded thoughtfully. "And how do you address the root causes of conflict?" Sarah smiled. "That's a crucial part of our strategy. We invest in education, economic development, and social programs to address the underlying issues that lead to conflict. Poverty, inequality, and lack of access to resources are major drivers of war. By improving living conditions and providing opportunities, we reduce the likelihood of violence." The display now showed scenes of schools, hospitals, and thriving communities. "Education is especially important," Sarah continued. "It fosters critical thinking, empathy, and understanding. When people are educated, they are better equipped to resolve disputes peacefully and contribute positively to society." The Xelarians watched, taking in the comprehensive approach humans had developed. Keldar raised a question that had been on his mind. "What role does technology play in maintaining peace?" Sarah's eyes lit up. "A significant one. Advanced technology helps us monitor potential conflicts and respond quickly. We use artificial intelligence to predict and prevent violence by analyzing data and identifying early warning signs. This allows us to intervene before situations spiral out of control." The display shifted to scenes of control rooms filled with sophisticated equipment and operators monitoring global events. We also use technology to foster communication and understanding. Social media, virtual exchanges, and global collaborations allow people to connect across borders, breaking down stereotypes and building mutual respect. Keldar seemed impressed. "It appears that your efforts are multifaceted, addressing both immediate threats and long-term stability." "Exactly," Sarah affirmed. "It's a delicate balance. We also promote cultural exchanges and international cooperation. Events like the Olympics, global summits, and cultural festivals bring people together, showcasing our shared humanity." The holographic display concluded with images of people from different backgrounds working and celebrating together. "Ultimately," Sarah said, "peace is about creating a culture that values life, respects diversity, and prioritizes dialogue. It requires constant effort and adaptation, but the results are worth it." The Xelarians sat in reflective silence. They had come seeking answers and had found a comprehensive blueprint for peace. Sarah's words had given them a vision of what their world could become. As the session ended, Keldar stood up, his expression resolute. "You have given us hope and a plan. We will take these lessons back to our world and strive to build a future where peace prevails." Sarah smiled warmly. "Remember, the journey is ongoing. We are here to support you. Together, we can create a galaxy where war is a thing of the past." With that, the Xelarians departed, carrying with them the wisdom of Earth's hard-earned peace. They knew the road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, they felt a sense of optimism and purpose. The seeds of a new era had been planted, and with careful nurturing, they would grow into a lasting legacy of peace for their world. Hey, everyone! If you loved this thrilling HFY sci-fi adventure, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting tales from the cosmos. Your comments and feedback mean a lot to us, so please leave a comment below with your thoughts and theories. Thank you so much for your support. It really helps us continue bringing you these amazing stories. Remember, subscribe and join us on more epic journeys across the stars. We appreciate each and every one of you.